What's going on, y'all? Just Hailey here, and today I'm excited to bring you guys something a little bit different, something a little bit fun and new for me, and it's a Caliban build. But not just a Caliban build, it's also a Caliban theory craft about the new Augment. That's right, if you guys don't know, Caliban is getting a new Augment in Weaver, so it feels like a weird time to make a Caliban build. However, I've been enjoying playing him a ton, genuinely instant top 10 frames for me. I'm playing him a bunch on stream, and I've been playing him a bunch in ETA and EDA. The reason for that is because genuinely he is such a fun frame to play. I really enjoy how he's playing, I really enjoy how he works, and I think the way that he's working in EDA and ETA specifically is really cool. He has a lot of different things that are combining to make him very strong, and I think you guys are going to like this. So I really wanted to take the time to show you guys how Caliban plays, how I've been playing him, and how I'm likely going to modify this build once the Augment comes out, so now you can modify your Caliban freely, and hopefully be prepped for when the new Augment comes out, even with the extra modding that you might do now. Don't wait, play him today, right? As always, guys, please like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It helps me out a ton. I cannot thank you enough for doing it. The channel's been growing really well, and I'm super excited to be able to continue to bring this kind of content to you. Don't forget that you guys can stop by the Twitch streams as well, Thursday through Sunday. I'm usually there, and it's usually 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific until whenever we go. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy, but let's get right into Subsumes. Now, I always like to start with Subsumes because, to me, Subsumes are the first thing that you kind of want to look at when you're looking at a frame. What can you use to kind of even out a kit? And I'm gonna be honest, Caliban doesn't need a Subsume. Straight up, you could absolutely just keep the Fusion Strike and be fine. It's really good. With this much range, you'll see how much we'll run in just a minute. It's incredible. You have enough strength to keep it really well up as well. It's just great. You're gonna get the full strip of defense. It's cool. However, I was thinking more about the new Augment and what we can do with it that'll be really fun, really exciting, and kind of interesting if it works the way that it did on the stream. They did say it wasn't the final form, so I don't want to plan too heavily for it. However, I do really like a couple different Subsumes. The specific Subsume I'm going to be talking about today is Roar, but you could do something like Shock Trooper and put an Augment in for that until you get the Augment up for the new thing. That does work. Unfortunately, right now, Smite Infusion and Nourish, as far as I'm aware, don't work from what I was able to check. That information was a little bit old, maybe it does work now, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't work for buffing up your lethal progeny. Now, I think that's overall not something you need to care about. Maybe you just want to use Nourish, but you don't actually need the energy here, so for the most part, Nourish just kind of fall by the wayside. You'd be better off with Eclipse. Eclipse is a really good weapon buff, but it's not going to give you the status damage buff that I really wanted, and that's why Roar is, in my opinion, the best option. If you want to go for something like maybe Breach Surge, it would be a good option too, because Breach Surge is going to give you a ton of damage as the Cascades form, especially because Sentient Wrath does damage by itself, which can trigger those Cascades too. All of that's going to combine to be really strong, really fun, and really easy, but for this build, and for today, and for probably the Augment in about a month, we are going to be running the Roar build. I already kind of mentioned what the Roar build is going to give us, but it is going to give us a lot of status damage and a lot of damage in general, as well as damage to the lethal progeny and damage to that little tiny sentinel that sits on our shoulder. All of this is going to combine to make Caliban absolutely shred enemies, do tons of damage, and once you can group them up with the Augment, should that still be the case, it's going to be even better. You're also going to get a ton of damage into the lethal progeny, so they can follow up on your attacks, they can keep spreading out that Tau status, which is going to make you do even more status chance. That's going to make things like melee influence go really hard with this build. It's going to be very strong. You can see the dual Viciss that I'm using right now is absolutely shredding. The Epitaph shreds. It's just really easy. The other thing I was using was the Miter. That's mostly just to pop those nullifier bubbles if I ever wanted to. Honestly, primary, secondary don't really matter here. Run an influence weapon and you are good to go. So getting right into the build, the first thing you're going to notice is the Summoner's Wrath. Summoner's Wrath is going to buff up our lethal progeny, it's going to buff up our Sentinel, and we're going to do a ton of damage with both of those, especially with the Sentinel build. I'll show you that in just a bit. The other thing we're going to be doing is tons of range. Now this range is mostly because that Razor Gyre is really cool with that. You're also going to like Sentient Wrath for that. You're going to get more range on your lethal progeny shield regen, so you can get further away, so friendlies, allies can get further away. And your Roar buff is going to go pretty much crazy with its range too. All that feels really good, very supportive, very fun, but then you're not lacking in strength either, despite the overextended, and you're doing tons with that too. Now, if we wanted to slot in the new Augment, we could absolutely swap out that overextended, get a bunch of strength back, get even stronger. We could also swap out our Augur Reach, though that probably means we have to swap off our Summoner's Wrath, the Brief Respite. You know, do with that what you want. Up to you. I'm probably swapping off the overextended to capitalize on more strength, but it does depend again on what the final version of that Augment looks like. That's likely what I'm going to be doing though. We'll just have to see. The rest of this, we're going for duration just a little bit so that our roar feels a little bit more comfy. The Razor Gyre is going to feel really good in general just because of its massive range. Even nuking off the overextended will be a 19-meter Razor Gyre, so lots of Cal status all over the place. And Sentient Wrath, crazy range, crazy strength, that's damage vulnerability. It's just a lot of value here, all kind of stacking up to make sure that you're hitting really hard, your Progeny are hitting really hard, and your Sentinel, as you can see in a lot of the footage here, is hitting really, really hard. All of this with Arcane Aegis and the Prime Redirection helps keep us alive, and then at least one Augur mod just to get us a little bit of those shields back just in case, so that we can keep the overall effect of the Lethal Progeny giving our shields back up and running. We want to make sure that we always have some form of shields so the Lethal Progeny can do their job too. If you want to swap your Lethal Progeny around, you can. I made sure to always use the damage, the little mortars, as much as I could. Those are just going to get better with the Augment if it keeps a similar effect. And I'm going to show you what the Augment was, at least in the placeholder version on screen right now. So quick and dirty of it, Razor Gyre Augment groups enemies you hit, and the Ortholist summons will launch coordinated strikes against grouped enemies. What it's going to end up doing when it comes out, I don't know, but I'm assuming it's still going to be a grouping ability, and that's the only thing I really need for the Razor Gyre to do, to keep this build really, really active and really alive. It's going to be tons of fun with that, but even if it's not, I can make minor adjustments and I'll get you guys a new Caliban build with the Augment shortly after it comes out. I might be focused a little bit on Araxia, but I'm going to try to do that as soon as I can after this comes out, just to give you the small update here, but that is the theory craft. What you're going to be doing is grouping everything together. For now, we're just applying Tau status and making everything go kind of crazy, especially when we factor in the Sentinels that we have going and all that kind of stuff, doing just insane damage, getting really cool like map clears, and what the Sentinel is doing is going to be right here. And we've talked about Murderous Taxon before. I love my Taxon. It's so much fun, it's so easy to use, and the Murderous version is just as easy, but except we're going to use Assault mode instead, and we're not going to be using Duplex. Instead, we're going to be dropping in the Contagious Bond, we're going to be dropping in Fired Up. Both of those mods are going to do really, really well for this. It's going to make the overall effect be that we're getting tons of heat, as well as tons of damage from the Verglas. We're actually going to be switching things up and using the Verglas today. The Verglas here is going to be modded for magnetic, viral, and heat. That is going to make sure that we are stacking up tons of heat into this and doing tons of damage. That damage is going to be utilizing the Contagious Bond to spread to other enemies that the Sentinel kills, and it's going to send them all over the map very, very easily, very fun. And it's going to create some really fun screen wipes that you're going to see from the overall effect of that combination. It's really cool, really easy, and honestly I strongly recommend it. If you have a Riven, go for some type of elemental combination for this, or do the standard thing and go for the crit, because then you can do really stupid things with the Tenacious Bond stuff because of how the Verglas is. So for the most part, the build is going to be focused on making sure that you're doing tons of damage, amplifying those Tau status effects to enemies across the map really easily, and just spreading that all around. Your Verglas is going to be going crazy on whatever Sentinel you bring. You can bring, by the way, whatever Sentinel, but this isn't a Sentinel build video. It's a Caliban build video, so I'm going to be giving you guys now the Shards. The Shards I'm using, it's pretty simple. It's 3 strength, 1 equilibrium, and 1 energy. 1 energy is not really needed, but I liked it for comfort. The 1 equilibrium, not really needed, but I liked it for comfort, theme here. And then the 3 strength, I actually really liked. I think that was a lot of fun. It upped the ability for my Sentinels to do things. It upped the power of my roar. It upped the amount of damage vulnerability that I was applying with the Sentient Wrath. It was all just really fun and really, really strong. I like that a lot. But obviously, do what you want to do with this. Pick your poison, kind of figure out your own shards. If you feel more comfy, even without the extra for energy, you could go even greedier here, maybe add more duration, something like that. It's really up to you. There's a lot of flexibility in shards oftentimes, and this is no exception. Now, essentially, the way that this build is going to play, just because I do want to kind of give you a slight rundown on that, you're going to use your Razor Gyre to give yourself health, shields, and energy. As long as you hit 4 enemies, you get all the energy back for casting the ability, and you can just keep doing that over and over and over again. If you hit more than 4 enemies, you get more energy back than you spent. So it's going to be a great way to refund and refuel your energy reserves so that you can just keep dishing out tons of things like Roar or Sentient Wrath. Sentient Wrath is a CC, but even if they have Overguard, it's still going to apply the damage vulnerability, so that's going to get that effect too. All of this with things like melee influence, the Tau status that you're putting out, increasing the status chance, so melee influence is going to go even harder with it. And then your lethal progeny doing everything on top of that, it's going to be very strong. Once we're able to add in the Augment, if it has that grouping tool, you're going to use Razor Gyre to group everything together, step on them with Sentient Wrath, kinky, and once they are stepped on, they'll get the Tau statuses, they'll be grouped up, and they will be really, really easy to just nuke with melee influence or any melee in general. It'll be very strong, very effective, and very, very easy. You guys know how much I like comfort builds, easy to play builds, and this is exactly that. It's so easy to play, and I've been having a blast with it. It really, really is just a lot of fun. The other thing that was a lot of fun here was the dual Viciss, and I am going to be showing you my dual Viciss build here too, just in case you wanted to replicate it. The one thing that I did change from the build video here is that I did put Blood Rush in after this because I think it's just nice to have. I don't know that you necessarily need the Gladiator Might that I was running, but Blood Rush is going to be a slightly better option here if you want to run that instead. Overall, they're kind of just a standard melee influence weapon. You can do these with Blast, but like I used to, but I just think it dilutes the unique trait too much, so you don't proc as much gas, then you don't get the unique trait. If you don't get the unique trait, then you just kind of sit there a little bit sad. So I didn't want to be sad. I just went with the gas and the electric. Gas electric is an incredibly strong combination. The Blast was okay, but not needed, so I went with this. I think consolidating is really cool, and I think knowing when to do that is a very big, important thing in Warframe. I just think it's smart. If you want to go for the Blast, go for it. You're going to have to sacrifice probably your crit. I didn't want to sacrifice my crit, so that's up to you. As for my other recommendations for weapons, honestly, run whatever you're feeling. Run whatever you want. Run your favorites. I ran the Epitaph, I ran the Miter. The Miter was just a utility thing. The Epitaph is my favorite secondary. I run it all the time. I know that I probably run it too much, but genuinely, anything with Overguard generation is going to feel really cool, and running Fortifier on my Epitaph makes it give Overguard, right? I like that. I didn't use it a lot here because I didn't want to show Overguard being survivable, no duh, but it is really cool to be able to immune that CC from time to time because I don't run that Prime Sure-Footed, and I have a significant amount of skill issue at avoiding being knocked down. Just call it a side effect of using Prime Sure-Footed for as long as I have, but it is what it is at this point. I can't, for the life of me, avoid those knockdowns, but if you are better than me, and I'm sure you are, you certainly can. Overall, you don't need Prime Sure-Footed in here if you don't want it, but throw it in if you want to sacrifice the 15% range. I do really like range, so it's a tough decision. Now, if you're looking for pet recommendations, honestly, run whatever Sentinel you want to run. You can run whatever pet you want to run, even if you just want to. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Pets here aren't going to be the crazy important part of the build. Run the Sentinels, in my opinion, because Contagious Bond is really cool and you can get them back really quick with the primed regen and stuff like that. It's really, really easy. However, if you wanted to run something like a Mage Predacite and get the crazy AoE nukes that they can do, you could absolutely do that, though you won't have the full mecha set. 2 pieces of it is pretty cool too, and that will be very strong. It will be a very, very powerful pet to be able to run if you wanted to. Completely up to you. Run whatever you like, run whatever the flavor of the week is, run whatever your favorite Sentinel is, it doesn't matter. But what does matter is that I hope you enjoyed the video. This is really it for Caliban. Honestly, he's a really, really strong frame, and his rework was crazy for a glow up. I never put a build on him for a long time, just because I kind of had that sour taste in my mouth from initially playing him, but I'm really happy I did. He's been a ton of fun to play, a ton of fun to experiment with, and a ton of fun to get what I really value in the game in a frame, and that is a crazy strong melee frame. I tend to prefer melee, go figure, look at the most of the gameplay that I give you guys. It's just easier for me with my hand, but genuinely love this frame. He's so much fun, he's very, very easy, and he works really, really well at amplifying not just his lethal progeny, but his pets and his melee and all that kind of stuff, his weapons in general. You're getting roar plus damage vulnerability that's always going to be really strong, and it's a really powerful effect. The end result is a frame that really can do it all, and do it all really easily. I hope you enjoy if you try it out. Let me know what tweaks you guys make in the comments and all that kind of stuff. I love hearing from you. But aside from that, I've been just Hailey, and you already know you've been amazing. So until next time, please remember that I love your faces. Bye.